All right. So I thought I would start by kind of showing you guys my old spreadsheet. So I've always tried to keep like a good inventory of what I was growing, who I got it from, the website, and then ideally I was keeping notes on like if it was virus or if I just didn't like the blooms or if it was good for show or better for cut. But what I found, this is a Google sheet. Let me blow it up for you, is that it was really hard for me to update this while I was outside. And so you can access like a Google sheet on your phone, but then actually trying to edit anything was kind of a pain. So I saw somebody post on Facebook about SmartSuite. And I had used something similar at work called Airtable. So if you're familiar with Airtable, it's somewhat similar to SmartSuite. And basically what this is that to me, it's like a spreadsheet on steroids. It also has an app that you can download on your phone that lets you um, access this entire spreadsheet. And you can add notes or images from your phone while you're outside working. So for me, I was like, this seems like it'll be a great thing to try. So I thought to start from the beginning, all you would do is start a free trial. And so far, I'm still on that free trial. I have a ton of images. It hasn't asked me to pay anything yet. I'm sure at some point, if I have too many images, I'll have to pay. But pricing wise, to me, was not that bad. So this is what you're going to sign up for. And it's really 100 megabytes of file storage. So depending on your phone's setting, as long as you're not uploading like photos that are a meg, um, you should be able to stay in that free realm forever. So once you have an account, I'm gonna back out of this a little bit. You're gonna come to a screen that looks like this. And I already have a solution started, but you would start with add a new solution. And I would just go create from scratch. And so it's going to give you what looks to be like a regular spreadsheet. This is kind of geared around project management. So the first thing that I went and did is I deleted all of the fields except for status. Like for some reason, I won't let you delete that I did not need. And then title, I knew I wanted to keep, but I just wanted to change the name of it. So on this spreadsheet to start with, each one of these columns has three little dots next to it. If you click that, it gives you this kind of menu. And what I wanted to do to start with is modify the field settings. And that's going to let you change what each of these columns does. So for this one, I knew I wanted it to say Dahlia name or like variety name, however you want to label that. You could go in and change the name here and then update the field. This name is going to be your primary field that everything is attached to. So your image, classification, description, all of that's going to be tied to the Dahlia itself. So from there, what I then wanted to do was to add new columns of things that I wanted to record. So one of the things that I wanted was the ability to add an image. And all I did, there's two ways to kind of navigate this. You can just scroll down, and in this scroll, it has all of the different options that you could add to this column. So if you want to add a URL, there's a way to add a URL. Um, we're going to pick file and images, and this will allow us to add an image to the spreadsheet. And then another thing that I try to do is I try to keep track of the classification of the dahlias. So if you're new to the realm of dahlias, you might not know that there are a number of different forms, colors, and sizes that the American Dahlia Society classify dahlias as. So an example is like a really big dahlia is a size A or double A. So the sizes are, oops, I'm going to mute that real quick. Um, I think you can pull them from the ADS website. Uh, if not, I'll try to find a resource and mail it with this. But in my solution, I wanted to be able to like pre-populate all those sizes, all the colors, and all the forms all at once. And then I wanted to be able to select multiple ones at the same time. So what we're going to do is to do that, we're going to use the multiple select. And I'm just going to put ADS classification. And here's a pop quiz. Somebody give me the different sizes. Who knows? Pat, you want to come off mute? Do you know how?
All right, AA is the biggest.
Okay. So you'll just add.
And then A.
Yep.
And B. BB. Then it gets a little gray.
What's after BB, guys? Tammy, you want to unmute?
Miniature
Yeah.
ball or medium ball. Is it medium or miniature?
Miniature.
Just miniature.
Yeah. Yeah. Or is it just ball?
Ball.
So ball technically doesn't have a size. Ball's a form, right? Either way, you get the drift. So you can plug all your sizes in. Now
Yes.
let's do forms. So what kind of forms are there?
Cactus, semi-cactus, lacerated cactus, or laciniated. How do you say that one?
Cineated.
Potato, potato. Yeah. Ball, I guess that's a form.
Yep.
Jess.
Good job, Pat. I'll keep you.
Single. Water lily.
Yep.
I know there's a misunderstanding sometimes. Is it pom-pom or pom-pom?
So
pom-pom.
it's a pom, but I think they just call it pom.
Orchid.
Yep.
Formal, decorative. Good. Informal.
All right. And then colors. So I'll just plug some of these in. And really, you can label this any way you want. So you could use the abbreviations, you can use the full name.
Is there any so they have those color codes, like it's giving you different colors. Does that mean anything, or
if
should you set those to the same colors?
You could, like if you want to nerd out really hard, Pat, then yes, you could take that ADS classification book and match that to your colors. I don't know the numbers Like, I don't have that stuff memorized. Um,
Is
but
there an advantage of having those colors? Does it
I
do
think
anything
the
for
advantage
you? Or
would be if you go to a show, you could pull up your phone and just get the numbers instead of looking it up in the classification book.
Hmm.
So could be. So once I have a majority of these options in, I'm going to go ahead and add a field. And so just so you guys can see how things are going, I'm going to go ahead and add a dahlia. Pat, what's your favorite dahlia?
Scooz is sunshine.
Oh my gosh, how do you spell that?
SCOOZ. That's one of my hybrids.
Is that right? Okay. So then for
And Kegel.
Kelgian, yes.
Yes.
You know this is recorded, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All right. So here you can see all the options that we plugged in. So how is Scooz's sunshine?
It's a yellow.
What size?
It's a ball.
And I didn't do yellow, so just in case you miss a color, you could go back in and add it on the fly. And then we can hit done.
So you can have multiple categories. It's in that one cell.
Yep.
I see. Okay. That's why you were adding forms as well as colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another field I record is height. Oops, sorry. So I want to do it the exact same way. And I use multiple select a lot. Like I would like to pre-populate those heights, plug them in there, and then just be able to pick quickly as I plug stuff in. So the one site that I use to kind of cheat um, is Teresa's. Dan knows Teresa, but she has this page that's form and sizes, and she just kind of has this quick cheat sheet. So in this, it'll tell you bloom size. It's not going to tell you height, but I also record bloom size. So on this one, let's do another multiple select for bloom size. And depending what this, on how you record it, you can kind of go with the ADS standards, right? So double A is over 10 inches in diameter. So we could say something like this. So the next one's 8 to 10 inches.
But if you already have it as AA, you would know it's over 10 though, right?
If you have that memorized, I don't.
Okay.
So I
Got
don't
it.
necessarily memorize it.
Got it. Got it.
But yes, if you had it in the size and you memorized it, then you may not need a field like this. I think it's up to six.
I always find the hardest information to find is the height.
Yeah. So, Pat, with that bloom size, do you have an estimate? Since balls don't necessarily have a size, this is where you might want to measure it out in the field yourself and then add that size on. So, do you have an idea how big your dahlia is?
It's about 3 inches.
Okay. So we've gone ahead and plugged three in. If for any reason you need to change this, if you just click on that cell, there's a little X and you can close that and just pick a new value. So I do the same thing with plant height, and I didn't really have a rhyme or reason as to what this list was, I think the tallest plant I have had, well, the tallest one I've had one that's over 10 feet. Um, but you would just add the same thing, your heights in. You could do a range if you want. If you're Googling, I don't know if anybody's noticed this lately, but Google recently has this kind of AI component that is doing some of the work for you. So
Hmm.
it'll kind of scan all of the websites and make a recommendation. So you can see some of the websites it's pulling from. So it's kind of saying 4.5 to 5 feet tall. So I think this is probably a good place to start. And then you may need to tweak this depending on how they grow in your garden. So if you have something partially shaded, I had an AC Abbey that got like 10 feet tall. So it really just depends on your growing conditions. If you have something full sun, that might not get taller than 6 to 7 feet on that. If you attempt to leave something without saving, it's going to prompt you to save that column or save your work. So you don't really have to worry about losing anything. And then the other thing I tend to do is I'll do the exact same thing with where I bought stuff. So Dan's here, so I'll put the Portland Dahlias Society as well. And I shop their sales sometimes. But this is where I just start listing the vendors that I've used and purchased things from. And then Pat, was yours from seed?
Yes. Yep.
So you could just do a seedling, or you could designate seedling a different way.
So yeah, I could do seedling because it was from Miss White, Holly Hill Miss White.
And I'll show you how to add another table up here in a minute, but you could have a table just for your seedlings as well. And I think that's the route that I'm going to go. I'm going to separate them from any named varieties I have. So this is kind of how you just begin to set things up. I'm going to go back and show you my finished solution. Other columns I have are quantity. And I did this not as a multi-select. Let me see if I could do this. So for quantity, I used a single select. Um, and that it won't let you do multiples of that. So quantity is kind of a fixed number. You're not going to have like multiple quantities. So you can just add in your numbers here. And Pat, how many of this are you going to grow this year?
3.
3. Oh man. Okay. So here you can see classification, plant height, bloom size, where I got it from. The year I purchased it is another one. I just did that as a multiple select as well. Pat, when did you start growing that?
This will be my 4th year.
Oh man,
So it was at 21.
are you gonna introduce it?
No, it's not really that impressive, but
Oh,
it's mine and it was my first one.
that's all right. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
And it's got a cool name.
Yeah, excuse us, sunshine.
I'm going to get you one, Jess.
I won't grow it, Pat, but you can get me one.
Classic.
You lost me at yellow. I don't really grow
Yeah.
Mine Minstello's pretty.
What's that, Dan?
Limoncello's pretty. It's yellow,
Oh, Tony's limoncello. Yep.
but it's limoncello,
What's that?
pronounced limoncello.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got an I in it.
Oh, I feel
Hmm.
like I feel like Jackie just called him limoncello. I just saw her the other day. Uh, website. So that is going to be a URL. And so we're just going to go down this list to link. Go ahead and select that. And this is if you want to record like the website and the URL that you got it from. I will say that people sometimes will switch URLs. I think one of the more stable ones that you could pull from if you just want to reference is going to be Florette's library. She doesn't have everything, especially exhibition, but she's building that out with a purpose, and those URLs are not going to change. So we're only going to allow one entry. If you wanted to do more than one URL, you could choose multiple. Um, so go ahead and add that field, and then any URL that you type, like it'll go ahead and like plug that in, and then this becomes clickable, and it'll just take you to that site. So a lot of times I'll just copy and paste where I bought something. So on Teresa's website, Tammy, what'd you buy from Teresa? Anything?
That AC poke.
Okay.
Oh, let's see it.
There. Brand new.
Brand new. This is
Brand new. You're not
so
messing around going with the new one, huh? And it's sold out. Did you buy the last one?
she did. I watched her.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just grab the URL out of that browser and then bring it back to here, and you could just paste that in, and then it'll work as a link for you. So initially, this is how, and then I have a column for notes. So things that I want to kind of update as the season goes on. So to start with, this is kind of our what they call grid view. And some of the things that you could see up here that I have tweaked are fields to display, and I have a filter for sorting. So the fields to display, if I click on that, it's going to show you all of the fields in your spreadsheet versus the fields that you actually want to show. And if you remember on here, there were a couple fields, it wouldn't let us take this off. Like status, I just couldn't get rid of it. However, if you go into the fields to show and you just delete status and open comments, then it shows just what you need for your spreadsheet. Does that make sense? So order wise as well, you can always drag the position that you want these columns to appear in. So um, feel free to like shift those around. This is just kind of what worked for my brain, but you can move any of these within your spreadsheet.
Did you create just the blank one that's all got all the headers on it?
Did I create one?
Do you have one you've just created with all the headers so we don't have to create it and we can cheat and just cheat from you?
I don't think it'll let me share anything out
Oh, really?
until I pay for it. So
Of course.
that's kind of the bummer. I did look at it, Dan, but it looks like I can just share something that's view only. And I'm happy to share mine view only with you guys. I'll put it in the chat.
That'd be good. We can look at the build off of.
Yep. The second thing you can see here is this sort. And if you're familiar with Excel, this is kind of a no-brainer. But you can sort off any column in the spreadsheet different ways. So I'm choosing to sort it alphabetically, A to Z, because what happens unless you magically plug all of your dahlias in alphabetically, or these things are going to get out of order, and then you manually have to drag them into the correct alphabetical order. So if I added something new to my spreadsheet, and don't judge me for my dahlias, there's no shame on this call. So I'm trying to think. I'm gonna manifest that I'm gonna get Cozy Town Kate in our upcoming sale. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna manifest that I'm gonna get 2 of them. And then I'll just put Leanne's as a vendor. I'm gonna say it's new for 2024. And then eventually I can get an image and upload it. There are some things like Leanne's or uh, other people, even Christine, who does Santa Cruz Dahlias, where they might not have like an official ADS classification. So if they don't, you might be kind of guessing as to what that classification would be. I'll make a plug for the judging curriculum that we're going to do here starting next week. It's a great way to learn forms and kind of help you to know what dahlias are which form and what color. So I would pull that up and look at it.
You could also have a senior judge do it for you too.
Right. I just don't have one on speed dial. I mean, Ron,
Oh, that's beautiful.
right? Well, don't come for the sale, Constance. I'm watching you.
Oh,
No.
okay.
So, uh, Leanne doesn't really talk about the form, I don't think. This is probably like our formal deck. I don't think it's a ball.
5 foot.
Yep, but she'll give you the size. And then she gives you the bloom size as well. So from that, you can kind of guess at the classification. So if the form size is 3 inches, oh, do formal decks not get that small? So here's a question I would need to ask a senior judge for. I would just classify that. I don't know. I guess I would just leave it blank or take a stab and guess at what it is. But plant height. So once I clicked off of that, you can see it's not at the bottom anymore. And it went ahead and plugged that in the correct order for me right here, Cozy Town Kate. So then I could plug that plant height in at 5 feet. And then, you can leave stuff blank or fill it in. I think the hardest part initially is if you want an image, but you don't have a photo. Obviously, there's a copy, like Leanne copyrights this. For me, my intent is just personal use. I'm not using this to sell on a website. So you could take a screenshot with the intention of swapping that out with your own photo. And that's kind of the route I've taken on my spreadsheets since I've started, is I'll start like this is my photo from what I shot, but actually most of these are, let me find one. Like this 20th Ave memory is not my personal photo. So I would encourage you, if you do take a screenshot, and I'll just do it as an example, or if you're friends with Leanne and you can ask her, like I can just message Leanne and ask her if it's okay. All I would need to do is hit this plus image, and it's going to ask me, how do I want to upload this? If you're on your phone, it's going to ask you for access to your camera roll, and then you could just pick it off your camera roll. I will say, if you're on an iPhone, it's saving the extension as like an HEIC. You have to go in your settings to change that to a JPEG. I've found like some of them that I've uploaded, is sideways on my phone for some reason. And it's only because of that format. So here I would go, I would find that photo that or the screenshot I just took, and I would just upload it to my spreadsheet, and then it is right there for me. So that's kind of how I populate the spreadsheet. If you already have a spreadsheet, like I have this 2024, and even if you have this without images and just had like a basic spreadsheet, there is a way to import it. So on the far right, there's three little dots, and it'll ask you to import data, and you can import your Excel sheet or your CSV.
Hmm.
If you're doing it in Google Sheets, you can download it out of Google Sheets in this format, either a CSV or an Excel import. So that, Dan, could be a way to speed things up for you if you are already kind of keeping track. So this is our grid view. The other thing, and this is probably what I find a little more appealing to look at, is the ability to create this card view that then shows me all of my pictures and just the details that I want to reference quickly. So there's some things like website, I don't really care about. Vendor, I want to know that it's there, but I don't need it immediately to reference. So these are all things that I can choose to display. So the way to do it is over on this little arrow. There's different views that you could build. So in this example for Pat's, I'm just going to upload an image real quick so we can see what this looks like. We would create a new view. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this view, and I'm going to change the name and just say card view. And then from this card view, I'm going to change the view type to a card view. And that should give us, I don't know why it's not pulling that image in though. Oh, maybe it just didn't save. Interesting. Something must be going on with that image.
You can upload it from the card view also.
Yes.
So where it said image, if you did the plus there.
Yeah, something's going on with that spreadsheet. You should, or maybe I've hit that threshold where I need to start paying for images. But once you do, it'll populate just like this. You can use that fields to display again to just show the information that you want. So I want to show an image, the Dahlia name, the classification, and at the moment, I want to know what I intend to plant, like the quantity. So that quantity is like what I intend to plant. It's not how many tubers do I have in the basement. So once I go to inventory, what I have, I'll make another column just for tuber inventory. So I have an idea of what I can donate to the DSO or friends or whatever. The one thing here that you do want to choose is if you want the image to show large, you just want to make sure that the cover image is set to image. And that will kind of give you this look. The other thing that's nice about this is once you click on it, you get a field that kind of, well, it's not a field. It's just kind of like all of the guts that are inside of that row on the spreadsheet. So instead of going back to that grid view, if I want to add an image, I can add another image here. If I want to write a description, I can do it here. So what's nice is when you're on your phone and you're in that card view, I can click on that view and then it gives me those details. Can you
Mhm.
do that?
So it's just easier on your phone to manage it on a card view versus the grid view.
You can do both. The grid
Yeah.
view just is kind of smaller to work with.
Yeah. No, this is pretty cool.
But you can get to the same screen from the grid view as well. You don't have to use the card view. I feel like the card view is the flashy, my spreadsheet looks so pretty view. So once you add anything, you would want to save it. It'll prompt you to save. And then again, this view is sorted A to Z. What's nice between this is you can toggle between these two views and you can add a new Dahlia to either the card or the grid, and it will automatically add it to both. So that's kind of the basics of the spreadsheet. Do you guys have questions on this?
What other views are there, Jess, besides the card and the grid?
So this kind of starts to get into like project management, Pat, which is really what this tool,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
like a Kanban is like if you're in
Hmm.
an agile environment running a sprint. Um, Timeline, calendar, yeah. So I don't think the other views really would apply.
Yeah.
I guess if you were selling and you wanted to keep track of tuber sales, maybe that chart view could be cool for you.
Jess, could you print the card view and then include it with your donation for tubers or with trades? Can you print it like a trading card or something like that?
Good question.
I do not know the answer to that, actually.
Can you isolate like the lines on the grid view so that it would come out like isolated as well in the card view?
Say that again.
Can you isolate like a line from the grid view? And then when you flipped it to the card view, you would just have one Dahlia information.
Instead of all the cards.
Instead of all the cards, is there a way to do that where you just isolate one?
Again, I don't know the answer to that one, Coletta. You could probably do a filter of, let's see,
Of one, or that share view, is that just really for all of it, I imagine?
it's for everything.
Okay.
Hi, I work on web pages. What if you try dragging your browser so it's narrower when you're in the card view? Would that then change the number of columns?
It'll respond down. Yeah.
It will. So, I mean, you might be able to get a single on the screen. They might go larger pictures at that point.
So this is probably the best way to do it, is to apply a filter. You could do Dahlia name contains, and then the name of the Dahlia that you're trying to isolate.
And I bet you could just take a screenshot of that and then form it to whatever dimensions you want to print off and put them all on one paper.
The other
That's
thing
nice.
too is there's a card size. So I have this set on the smallest one. See, here it is where this is going sideways.
Still beautiful.
But so you could get this even larger if you wanted to try to print that off.
Can you forward a card? Like say I wanna show a buddy of mine Scoos of Sunshine. And it's kind of cool, all the details are in that card. Can I email or forward text just that card?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think like how you could do it.
Hi, Jess. This is Jamie. I'm with Marty here.
If you go all the way to the right, those the three dots. Is there anything there as far as export?
It's just gonna export everything, I think. Let's see. Oh, it did export the one, it just didn't bring the image.
Huh.
So I think you've got the right idea, Pat. I think it didn't export the image because it's that format I was talking about. Let me filter for a different one.
When you're on your phone, are there different are there different are there limitations or different options
That could have.
from the
No.
phone app?
I would need to look, Pat. I don't know off the top of my head. So it looks like it's
Yeah.
not gonna pull the image. Anyway, there might be a setting. I'll look into it and get back to you on that, Pat. Martin, I know you're not Martin, but the name says Martin. You got a question?
Oh, hi, Jess, it's Jamie. Marty and I are here connected on the same, we're here together. I was just saying that I found the display options there with the 3 buttons like you were exploring. That's all I was gonna say.
Okay, yeah.
And then Jess, could you say if you had your Google Sheet from 2023, can you import that and, start to keep each year and look ahead to the next year as well?
Yes,
As you build it? Okay.
for me, I will just end up duplicating this entire
Okay.
document for 2025. And I'll just kind of delete the stuff I'm not going to grow. But then in this kind of worksheet,
Mm-hmm.
let me name this. So hypothetically, this is our 2025.
Okay.
That looks just like mine.
And then it would help if I saved it. There we go. So then to me, this is going to be the record of everything I grow going forward. So I could bring that old stuff in. I don't know that I'm that ambitious to do that though. I mean, just for the amount I have, it took me
Mhm.
a decent amount of time to like bring all of this on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you going to use it for your other flowers as well?
I did. So here's kind of
Okay.
the next option is if you want to keep track of other things in your garden.
Mm-hmm.
So here's not all of my peonies, but some of them. I also did it with my seeds starting. So if you start seeds, I didn't plug the images in yet, but I did put in like the details of when I need to sow those seeds and start them,
Oh, that's great.
date that I need to start them. And so, and then I mark it as I've been starting things. This is coming. So like March 10th is going to be a busy weekend for me to get all of my
Wow.
seeds going that I need to keep track of. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
That's
And then you
great.
sort those and you're ready to go. You know what you got to do that weekend.
yep. So like today I did sweet pea
Mhm.
early. So I just need to go in and change all of these to started. The other thing too, just like any Excel or spreadsheet, is you can copy and paste, or there's this little kind of square on the bottom right. You can just drag that down to, and it'll automatically paste that value in for you.
Hmm.
This is great.
I'm a little cheap for you guys. And then I'm going to keep track of who I want to do trades with this year as well. So, other questions you guys might have?
Where it has that share view at the top,
Yep.
does that mean you're sharing access where someone else could also
You
kind of add things and
Yep. So I think on the free plan, you're allowed to have 3 users. So if you had somebody else who's working your field with you, like a husband or your spouse, I would add them to the same spreadsheet and then you guys can access this document together. The share view is how you also would share with others. So I'm gonna, oops, I wasn't even paying attention to the chat, guys. I'll go back through. I'm gonna drop my link into the chat. But this is so you guys can view my spreadsheet. So Dan, can you click on that and see if it pulls up for you
Hang on a second.
or somebody?
I'm tied up on something else, Jess.
Dan's multitasking. My work would frown at that. Uh,
I just got a
that's
important.
okay.
It says we need to request shared view is not available.
Yeah.
Yes.
That setting, it says allow viewers to open records. Maybe that's why.
Can you try again, Millie? Just hit refresh.
That worked, yeah.
Okay. So here's where it gets tricky a little bit. What I just shared with you is just the card view. The grid view is another link, and I'll just drop the second one in to our chat. Let me. So you have to individually share the different views as well.
My mother's pretty.
Millie, does that second one work for you?
My mother's beautiful. Anyway.
Yes, grid view and card view, they're both separate.
Mhm.
Cool. So that should at least give you access to my spreadsheet. I just messed up my grid view though, because I changed the type. And so if I need to go back and add fields back in, it's really just that easy to like drag those back over. And you can sort them here as well. So I went my description or my notes to kind of go at the end. So it's, you can't really mess up unless somehow you manage to delete an entire column. And it'll give you a heads up. Like if you go to delete that field, it's going to ask you, do you really want to delete it? So it's somewhat bulletproof. Like I don't think you're going to accidentally delete anything. Other questions you guys have? Oh, let me, it
When you
does.
measure your blooms, are you using the stuff from the ADS, those circles, or how are you measuring your blooms?
If I really care, I just have a tape measure. You can order, so the ADS has the rings for sale. I also saw Honeybee Farms has a set of rings that you could purchase as well that are the same as the ADS. I don't know if they're cheaper though. But they're like 3D printed and it's like a ring and you can measure it that way. So Leah asked, does it automatically save your information? It does. So that's another bonus. Coletta asked, how would I note if I did not choose to grow this dahlia again? I would probably have some of that information in my notes.
Okay.
Actually, don't think I am going to
Can you
use
add emojis? Like a thumb down or a thumb up? Like if you're like this diet actually isn't that good and I don't want to do it next year, so put like a
let me see.
thumb down emoji. That way it's just easier than reading.
So on your phone, it's easier to just plug that in. Let's see what it does to the spreadsheet though. Oh, it's right here. So yes, Pat, if you wanted a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Wait, where is it? I don't see it.
It's really little.
I got, do you see it right here?
What row? Oh, in the
Your
notes.
notes.
Got it.
You might be covering it.
I think you're covering it.
Oh, what am I covering it with?
No, I mean, we might be covering it with our where we have our gallery.
Your Zoom. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So you can create a column specifically for yay or nay,
Yeah.
and then use your icons. Got it. Yeah.
All right.
This
So
is great.
Jeff, I like your intent. I noticed you didn't include a column for how much you paid in case you want to look
Yeah.
back for years. It is, I don't know that my husband cares, but I think if I knew the actual cost of what I spent, I might have like a mental breakdown. So,
Yeah, I'm close to that actually.
yeah,
It kind of makes me sick for a little while.
That's like Vicky. That's like Vicky. She just orders and I write checks.
I feel like that's your purpose in life, Dan.
That's my purpose.
That's great.
I'm the operations and she's the merchandising.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I think of like the amount I've spent or just what I spent on one tuber. And it kind of, but
But they make more.
they
They,
make
they always make more. They make more.
Oh,
They're
we
free.
grow over 800, and I can guarantee you this year alone we spent over $2,500.
Oh my god.
yeah, it's a lot. It adds up for sure.
It's fun though.
Everybody needs a hobby. You can't take,
Absolutely. It's even better when both of you enjoy it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I feel justified and I'm glad to hear it. All my spending.
Yeah. Millie is still, how many do you grow, Millie?
Under 100. So not yet too crazy, but I've been building quickly, so it's escalating a little too fast.
We
Well,
went from 100 to 400 in 1 year.
Wow.
and I
Good
went
thing-
from
oh.
5 to 125.
I went from 5 to 80, and I've bought more than I have room for, so this will be a fun year for me to make some room.
Yeah.
Hey Jess, I'm putting in more raised beds, so when I'm done this year, I think we'll have 6 or we'll have 8. On top of the 20 rows we have out there already. 20 rows of just garden.
Yeah.
I think it's the accessories that start to add up too. All the wonderful things you want to use.
Yep.
Makes it great.
It's a beautiful hobby.
It is. Look at us justifying it. All right.
Yes, this is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? There's definitely, I'm sure, more tricks to the trade. Like if you want to get crazy, it can do formulas like Excel. Like if you get to that, don't come ask me for that. Excel is not my strong suit. I just know enough I can add 2 columns in Excel. So if Pat, you look like an Excel wizard, you could probably figure out all of the different formulas. Aren't you accounting or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you have questions, email Pat.
Perfect.
Jess, how many do you have listed and you're still free?
What do you mean?
Well, you
Oh,
said,
No charge.
so you have 181 and you're still under the free.
Yeah, and really what's going to get you are the images. So
Okay.
if you don't put images in at all, I don't know that you'll ever move off the free account.
Okay.
I decided like when it hits, I'll pay the money just to maintain it. The other thing that's nice too is if you decide like, I don't want to use this product anymore, you can also export it to an Excel sheet. Give me a sec for my Excel to open
Does it
up.
give you a CSV as well?
You could do either. The
Okay.
Excel sheet is probably going to hold on to the format a little better.
Yeah.
So this is, instead of giving you the image, it's just going to give you the title of it. But everything else is in there. So if you do need to like pull this out,
It's good to know.
Yep.
So if you have 180 some dahlias and you have your quantity right there, I guess in this format you can calculate how many dahlias you're actually going to grow. And the other one you probably couldn't, or maybe you could. So how many dahlias totals do you have for this year?
I think you can. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, the way you had it in Excel originally, you could certainly do that.
yeah, there's a way to do it in SmartSuite. I just haven't. Why is this returning 0?
Because those aren't numbers. Those are, you have to change the format. It all came over as text.
Lame. Okay, well, Pat knows.
There's a way to do that. I don't know it off. I have to research some things. You'd have to right click, format some
Yeah.
text to numeric, whatever.
I mean, the bonus is I don't know how many I have in the spreadsheet, and I'll figure it out when I start mapping stuff out. So the other thing I used to do in my spreadsheets, these are my beds, and I would just start listing everything that I want to plant and how I want to plant it. I just haven't done that yet for this year.
Dennis, I got a scoop, but thank you very, very much.
No problem, Dan. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
So it seems like some of you are hobby and some of you are actual farmers and sellers. I've just gotten into this and we have like a plant swap at work, and I may have gone too granular with my spreadsheet this past year in sheets and like started going, okay, dahlia tuber variety number 56 gave me X number of tubers, and I gave those to friends X, Y, and Z. And then I felt like I had the need to start tracking the children, I guess, and giving those ID numbers. And I think it's going to grow out of control really quick, where it seems like, because I don't know how big a spreadsheet can get. So, I mean, I do know because I work with that sort of stuff, but like, I think I just need to be told to stop. It seems like you're just like, well, I'll just make a new spreadsheet next year. Is that what you do? You don't track over time, and you don't track the children of last year's dahlias or anything like that?
I don't, because I don't care. Like, I guess if I were trying to sell, I would want to make sure I'm holding on to varieties that I know are going to produce tubers, right? So like Cozy Town Leon, she prides herself on hybridizing dahlias that will give you multiple tubers, right? Like she's a cut flower hybridizer. So one of her goals when she hybridizes is like that tuber development. For me, for what I need the next year, I only need like 2 or 3. Like some of these I'm growing 1, maybe 2. I don't hold on to all of them. And what I don't keep, I almost always donate back to the society. I just, yeah, I don't have it in me to try to sell.
Set them free and let them go on their way. And part of
Yeah.
mine was like, because my friends are like, well, I don't know anything about growing. I don't know what this is. I'm like, all right, here's an ID tag with that dahlia. You can ask me later what it is if you forget or anything like that.
Oh, I
So,
see.
but
Hmm.
I think I need to stop that.
And Jess, do you overwinter all of these? Is that correct?
Yes.
You did. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
these are
tremendous.
all in saran wrap and like 6 bins in the crawl space. So
Have you already woken them up?
some, yep. I've already started cuttings of things that I want either for the DSO auction or things that I knew I wanted extras of. So yeah, some of us crazies have started. I also pot mine, everything I grow. So everything on this list, I'll pot and wake them up in like the first or second week of March with the intent that when I plant, hopefully like that first week of May, all already have a decent sized plant that's going to go outside. And for me, what helps is those tubers already have roots. They've already started growing. And since I do cut flowers, I'm getting blooms in like mid-June. If you're showing like Tammy shows, she really wants to be strategic as to when she starts growing. So she has blooms for show season.
Okay.
A lot of people in the club won't start theirs until, is it Memorial Day, I think?
And
Or-
put them in. I did already put some in pots and I've got them in under some lights to see what'll come out. So I started that like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put lights on them until you see a sprout.
Okay. Okay.
So you could keep them all in a basement in a dark space until it starts sprouting, and then you need to move it to light.
Okay, great.
The other thing too, Coletta, is you hear a
Yeah.
lot like don't water them. Depending on your soil, I use the Pro Mix, the compressed soil.
Yes.
I have to moisten that, and I have to kind of keep it semi wetned. We just don't have high humidity in our house. So that's going to dry out. And once it dries out, it's going to dry out your tubers as well. So
Okay. Okay.
kind of,
I've been doing some misting too, because I do the Pro Mix and some other things as well. Okay.
feel free to jam your finger down in that soil. Sometimes I'll even like pop the tuber out, look at it, see if it's eyeing up, and then stick it back in. You're
Okay.
really not going to hurt it.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions you guys have? Let me double check the chat. Oh, somebody asked if I've done anything with QR codes to print for the plant tags. I personally have not. I don't use these to print my plant tags. I do know you can do it. So my assumption would be somehow there's a way to like tie that QR code to this individual row. I think you would probably need to like look in their help section or like Google to find that if you want to do it. I do know I saw it on Facebook that somebody is doing that. All right.
Thank you, Jess. This has been fabulous.
No problem. And if you guys get stuck, feel free to message me. I'll share out the view of my spreadsheet with the recording. So if you guys want to look at this separately or you didn't save it from the chat, don't worry, I'll toss it in there for you.
Jess, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
I don't see like the 4-digit number, the 7001 or whatever. Is that important for you for the spreadsheet, or just having the classification and the color and the form, is that enough for you to have stored?
Yeah, that's enough for me personally, but that's kind of what Pat was saying earlier. Like if he's taking this to a show, and for those, if you've never shown before, I don't have my classification book. Tammy might. There you go. So once you become a member of the American Dahlia Society, which is our parent organization, you get this classification book in the mail. And in that book, Tammy, if you open it up, it's going to list all of the dahlias that have won. I think it's the last year, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, or the last couple of years. I can't remember.
All the ones that have won?
Yeah. Like you have to get a blue ribbon to get in that book, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah, just, you mean in general, all the names of the,
And all that classification book is just a listing of dahlias. And so you can look up anything by like Bloomquist or Holly Hill. And if it's one in a show, it's
Yeah.
going to be a book. And then in that book, it's going to give you the numbers. So these sizes have numbers, the colors have numbers. And when you're in a show, there's like this little ticket that you have to fill out, and you often have to put that number in. And then you enter your Dahlia in that category for that number. So like all formal decks that are red, that are 6 to 8 inches, so A's, those all compete against each other. So that's kind of how you figure out like where your Dahlia is going to go in a show. And the DSO does 4 shows. We do Cuyahoga, Geauga fairs, Summit Mall, and then a members only show at Petiti's. So I think the fairs are a really good way, especially if you're new, to try it. You pretty much always win. So you come home with this crazy big ribbon and you get cash and you feel really great about yourself. So if you haven't tried, I would encourage you to do it. We're going to do a how to stage a bloom. So we'll teach you how to show before the shows actually start. So you can learn like, I need to have 2 leaves on my dahlia. Like I can't rip all the leaves off. And I need to put it in the vase so it's angled and kind of looking at the judges. So we'll kind of go over the tips and tricks of that closer to show season.
Did you have to say you pretty much always win at a county fair? Because that just kind of killed my thrill with the ribbon I got last year.
As a
Yeah, Jess, that's kind of
What way to deflate it?
hold on, as a novice, because there's not a lot of people running in that novice category. You get 3 years as an, well, it depends on the show.
depends on the show. Yeah.
Cuyahoga Fair, if you win 1 blue ribbon, you're out of novice and you're competing with the big dogs. Good luck that second year. So I would take the win on that first year, knowing that you may never win again. But Pat, Tammy, and I all kind of started at the same time. So we were all competing against each other that first year.
Fun.
And Tammy cleans house like she
Yeah.
does.
Like nobody's business, like a boss.
Yeah.
Like a boss, the boss that she is.
Yeah.
No,
So
Look at her
yeah,
shaking
we're
her
all
head.
out of novice now. There are no bosses.
we need a new crew of novices. So Jeff, now this is your year, 2024.
No pressure, Jeff, no pressure.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything else? No.
Thanks again, Jess.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
It was awesome.
Hey, guys.
All right, good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.